2K crew, what is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Turbo and 2Ks coming at you on Saturday this week. Welcome to episode 42. We're changing things up a little bit this week. We're going to kind of go from the hip. We normally throughout the week I send 2Ks the show agenda, see if we need to make any changes. We didn't do that this week. We didn't do this week, so we're kind of going. We have some topics, of course, on hand, but nothing real. Let's see how it flows this week. See how it flows, and I just want to get things started off by our Teespring store, where we get our where you can order the T-shirts and hoodies. They gave us a coupon code for Black Friday, and it's good until November 30th, and the code is Turbo15. Turbo's all in caps, and of course 15 the numbers. So YouTube link is in the description to the Teespring store. Everyone else that's listening, go in the Facebook group. There's a link in there, or just go to teespring.com, search Turbo and 2Ks, and right before you get done with your order, use the code Turbo15 to get you 15 motherfucking % off. Now, like I said, that code is good until November 30th. So get your orders in. Who the fuck doesn't want a Turbo and 2K shirt for Christmas?
That's what I'm saying.
They're comfy.
And now you have 15% off, so there's no excuses.
No, there's 15 more reasons why you should get one.
Yes. I better see them all over the place after this Christmas season.
Yeah, and if you don't have one, you're just a douche. Yeah. No, we're just kidding. But yeah, thought that was kind of cool. And while we're doing that, I did want to give a big special shout out to Mr. Kirby Richards. Not only did he go and sub to the channel, the YouTube channel, he also added like 70 folks into the Facebook group. So much appreciated, my friend. Want to give you a much love shout out. So now that that's all taken care of, we're sitting here watching the Penn State Ohio State game, and it got kind of close there for a second. It got kind of close. Yeah. It was 14-0 after half, and Ohio State receives the second half kickoff, just pretty much marches down the fucking field, 21-0. Penn State comes, they have a couple turnovers. Next thing you know, it's 21-14, 21-17. And where we're at right now, it's about halfway through the fourth quarter, 28-17 Ohio State. So, Mr. 2Ks, what's your impressions? What are your thoughts on this game? I know it's a pretty. It's number 2 or number 8 at number 2.
Yeah.
So obviously we're expecting some fireworks and ultimately a great game, which it's proven to be a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I just assumed Ohio State would just run right fucking through them.
Yeah, and a lot of the pregame shows that I was watching today, pretty much everybody was picking them to win by 3 or 4 scores. Mm-hmm. So Penn State's played them pretty tough. there's Ohio State's turned the ball over in some pretty key situations. One time being right at the 1 yard line. Mm-hmm. And that we just watched one there at the end of the third quarter where they fumbled it again. So they've turned the ball over in some key situations, but all in all, I was kind of one of those guys going into this game where I was like, man, is there anybody in the country that can even play with Ohio State? And, obviously being a Michigan fan, I was like, man, next week might not be pretty. But after watching, Penn State's kind of showed that, they're
legit.
Yes. Ohio State puts their pants on one leg at a time also, we can...
Put our pants on the same way we do.
They can be played with, and next week's game being at Michigan, that's a different story too.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Michigan's going to go out and win the game by any means. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but no, and at the same time, watching this game today, obviously we've talked about it a lot. Chase Young, probably the best player in all of college football. And
right now, he'd probably be the 4th best player in the NFL.
Yes,
let's be fucking real.
And kudos to Ohio State for picking Maryland and Rutgers to have him sit out.
Right.
That was very convenient to get that
works.
out of the way and then get him back for Penn State, Michigan. So, but no,
But the dude sat down for 2 games and is still tied for the leading sacks in the nation.
Yeah, and him sitting out for 2 games was probably the best thing for him. I mean, to
healthy,
get healthy,
has a chip on his shoulder. Yes, he's probably pissed off.
Yes, and then wants
to show everyone that he's still the beast, which he is.
And now he's playing in the 2 biggest games of their season, especially their regular season. Obviously, before the postseason starts off. So. No, going into today, I thought Ohio State was the best team in the country, and as of right now, they still are the best team in the country.
Yeah, I mean it's an 8v2, so it was either going to be a very well played game, which is what's going on, or one of the other teams blows the other one out. So then you start talking about, well, they obviously shouldn't be ranked where they were, and then everything kind of rolls downhill from there. So everything's playing out pretty much the way it should. And I think the Ohio State offense, Justin Fields gets all the spotlight. Dobbins is where it's at.
Oh yeah.
They were talking on earlier in the game that dude squats 700 pounds.
Yeah.
And still runs a 4.3. I mean, you expect your offensive lineman to squat with 700 pounds, not your fucking running back. So the kid's a freak in nature. And just in the lineage of the great backs that have come out of Ohio State, you know, Carlos Hyde probably was one of the best ones to come out of there, and then obviously Zeke, and now I would put this kid right up there with Zeke's collegiate resume. We don't know where it's going, from here on out, but I think it's a fair comparison, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you gotta look with him at all the snaps that he had to share.
Yeah. With Mike Weber last year.
Yes,
he left early to go to the NFL. Where is he? I mean, I have no idea.
I know that for a second. I want to say he was with the Cowboys for a little. I think that's who he initially signed with, and then because I don't recall him being drafted.
I don't either. Of course, I didn't.
He might have been drafted by the Cowboys real late.
I didn't watch all 7 rounds. I'm not that big a fan.
No, but he was a very legit back for Ohio State too. After obviously Zeke leaving, and so Dobbins had to share snaps with him, and still is on par to break a lot of records at Ohio State.
Well, he's at 1,000 yards every year he's been there, even sharing carries. So that tells you something. Now when it's his turn to shine. Boy, oh boy, he is not leaving. You and I have been on the JT train all year, and he's still a great back.
Oh, yeah.
But now, since his kind of come back down to earth moment, I think we might have been overlooking one of the best backs in the Big Ten, if not in the country.
Yeah, and when you look at Jonathan Taylor, he's got to do a lot of things on his own.
Yes.
And you look at this Ohio State team. You have Dobbins, but you also have Fields as your quarterback. You have probably 2 wide receivers on that team that are going to be playing on Sundays, maybe 3. They have a very good offensive line, so that makes your job as a running back easier when teams can't just key on you. Where when you play against Wisconsin, you're number one when you go into that. The number one thing that's on your mind is we got to stop Taylor.
Yes,
and make them beat us in any other way. You can't do that against Ohio State. You can't pinpoint one guy on Ohio State.
That's what makes them so good. That's why they're number 2.
Yes, and you're not going to stop Ohio State. No. You got to just hope that you can somewhat slow them down.
Right.
And then you have to score a lot of points yourself to be able to beat them.
Yes, that's very true. But yeah, there's so many focal points on this Ohio State team that players like that do tend to get overlooked because they don't have to get 150 yards and 2 touchdowns for his team to win. Does it help? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, but it's not like and so yeah, with JT, he's granted Wisconsin's offensive line is always badass. They're bigger than the Packers, but yeah, it's like you have to load the box, you have to stop him and make the quarterback throw, which the reason they've been so good this year as compared to years previous with JT is that this quarterback can throw. He's a very serviceable and effective quarterback to kind of open up that box to where Taylor's even better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing here where, especially with Fields, you pretty much have to keep a spy on him at all time because
he's the second best running back on the team.
And sometimes the first, just out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then you pointed out the wide receivers. I've watched 2 amazing catches by their wide receivers today, both for touchdowns. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And the first one, Fields put it right in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch. So yeah, it's coming down, and I think you can pretty much, unless something catastrophic happens in this game, pretty sure you can put a bow on this one. And just saw Notre Dame kicked off, which I hate these 2:30 fucking kickoffs. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You have noon and 3:30. You've groomed us for 39 years with noon and 3:30 or 7:30.
Leave it to Notre Dame to do something fucking, weird.
I don't get it.
Weird.
I don't get it.
That's just a Notre Dame thing to do.
It's the Clash of the Catholics today. They have Boston College into South Bend, and I was offered tickets about 2 hours ago. I'm like, A, it's cold. B, we got to bring this to you guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking one for the team, and told my friend, I'm like, I'd love to, but I can't. Love to, but I can't. That's the sacrifices I make for you folks.
One thing about it, like, don't get me wrong, I love going to football games, and I love, and it doesn't really matter who's playing. I just like watching football. But when it gets to be this time of the season, when it's cold, I'm out. I don't want to go sit in the cold on some cold bleachers.
Yes.
And just freeze my ass off. Last week I went to last Sunday I went to Cowboys and Lions game in Detroit, and it was cold. We were outside before the game, doing a little bit of tailgating, and I was freezing my ass off.
Yeah.
And I didn't really dress for it because I knew that when the game started, we were going to be inside. Yeah, and you go through the doors into Ford Field, and I mean, you take off your jacket, and you're sitting there in a t-shirt watching the game. That's the kind of football that I want to watch this time of the year.
Amen.
Kind of reminds me of being at my, on the couch watching it. And on top of that, Ford Field, there's no bleachers. You're sitting on an actual in a seat. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was nice. I'm not a Lions fan. I'm obviously a Cowboys fan. It wasn't the best. Wasn't a very great game to But hey, the Cowboys won. I'll take it.
Yep, I was just gonna say that's the most important part. And so speaking of the Lions, so a lot of our crew here is our Lions fans. There's been a big thing going around the internet that they would much rather have Jim Caldwell back. And I was one of the first ones to stand up and be like, yo, I don't know why you're getting rid of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you're getting rid of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bad lip reading things are always hilarious with him. And it's those videos are better with him in there. Now he's not in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of suck. But on top of that, it's not like he ever had a super bad season. And I'm pretty sure if you check the track record, I want to say there's only been, one playoff win?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm a Lions fan, I'd be pissed off too. In my opinion, he didn't do anything to deserve to be let go.
No, I don't, and I agree with that. He just doesn't have that it factor. Like he's going to take you any further than what he did.
It could be.
To me, watch it. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I just think that Caldwell's kind of like he might get you to the playoffs, but he's not going to. He reminds me of Jason Garrett in Dallas.
Yeah, well,
Jason Garrett is going to get you to the playoffs, but he's probably not going to win you very many games in the playoffs.
Well, let's expand upon that. As a Lions fan, I think at this point you'd take multiple trips to the playoffs.
Yeah, but and I think a lot of fans they say that, but then when they get that taste of the playoffs, and then they lose, and then they get to the playoffs again, and then they lose, pretty soon you get sick of that shit. Like, okay, we got to the playoffs, but we lost. I don't want to keep losing, we gotta make a run for it. You know what I mean? And And I think a lot of that you see with the way that the NFL is going, and they're going with all these younger coaches, and they're trying to freshen it up a little bit in there. Yeah. And now there are some coaches that have been around for a long time that are very, very good. Mm-hmm. You and Christian talked about this with the MLB a couple weeks ago when I wasn't here. I was listening to that with going with these younger managers or younger coaches. Mm-hmm. I just think that that's kind of the way that things are going now. You have to freshen it up. You look at what McVay's done with the Rams.
Not so much this year, but yeah.
Yes, but he freshened that whole thing up. Yep. And then you look at Kyle Shanahan going to the Niners and what he's done for that. Now LaFleur in Green Bay and what he's doing. And the list goes on. Nagy with the Bears. And I know this year with the Bears it hasn't been obviously as good, but
it's not Nagy's fault.
He was the coach. He was the coach of the year last year.
It's lack of quarterback play that ultimately is losing the Bears games.
So I think that you need to. And I know that the Lions kind of tried that with Patricia, but Patricia just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that it factor to me, and it's hard. I've never been one that's really bought onto a defensive mind as a head coach. Right. I think you got to get your defensive coordinator and let him do his thing. But as a head coach, I think you need to be an offensive mind. You look at the coaches, the young coaches that it's working out for. Mm-hmm. They're all offensive guys. Yep. And then they pawn their defense off to somebody that has their credentials and knows their shit. Patricia was a defensive guy in New England. Yeah. Patricia got that job because of New England and because of Bill Belichick and what being in that system.
100%.
I mean 100%. That's what he had all of it. And Patricia knows his defense. Mm-hmm. Now, can he be a head coach and turn this Detroit Lions team around? I don't think so.
Especially when he's that guy. Especially when they're trading away his defensive studs. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's kind of hard. What's funny is that Kristen and I were watching the Dallas Lions game last weekend. And she goes, "Who's the homeless guy on the sideline?" I turn around. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "That guy right there." I was like, "Oh, that's the coach." She goes, "Oh, wasn't he in New England?" And it kind of shocked me. I was like, "Yeah, he actually was." Mm-hmm. I goes, "Man, I think with all that money, he learned how to dress." It's like, well, when he was with New England, he usually had the backwards hat.
Yeah. Big old beard,
chewing on his beard, and yeah. And to kind of piggyback on your point with the new wave of coaches in the NFL, it happens. It's cyclical. Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick's not going to coach forever. Pete Carroll might actually coach forever.
Possibly.
It's like one of those Futurama episodes where he's like the head in the jar. That's going to be Pete Carroll.
And Pete still carries himself like he's
feisty
like he's
as
40.
Fuck. Yeah.
He still runs around on the sidelines like he's 40.
Yeah, I love it.
And he's the oldest coach in the NFL, and that is just mind-boggling to me, the way that he acts. And I mean, he keeps it fresh.
Well, if you asked even kind of like nonchalant football fans, who's the oldest coach in the NFL? I think a lot of them would go Belichick. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he bounces around like he's 40, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And
it was like a month ago I was watching a game and he had like a blood going down the side of his nose and a big old cut, and I was like, what the fuck happened to Pete? So I get on Twitter and I start looking. Yeah, he was out there playing catch before the game and took a fucking football off the nose. Yep.
And that, to me, I would love to play for a dude like that, to be honest with you. Absolutely. But no, you're absolutely right. It's the same thing in baseball. I mean, it happens all the time.
And Pete's like somebody that really reminds me a lot of Pete is Harbaugh.
Yeah.
You either hate him or you love him. Mm-hmm. And if you're not a Seahawks fan, if you're not a USC fan, there's a good chance you probably hate him.
No, see, I hated him when he was with USC. I like him now that he's not that he's in
But
the
you
NFL.
Probably were not a big Harbaugh hater when he was with San Francisco.
I would, to be 100% honest with you,
or when he was at Stanford.
Stanford, my eyes were open to him at Stanford, just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Did he win with one of the greatest college quarterbacks of the last 20 years? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But is that Justin Fields?
Oh, I hope not.
In mop-up duty. All right. But it looks like it is. Yep, it is. Justin Fields is down on the ground. Ooh. Looks like that knee. Oh, let's hope that's not anything super serious. So I wouldn't want Michigan fans to bitch when they lose to the backup quarterback of Ohio State.
Hey, that happened a couple years ago.
Yeah, it did. It did.
We had him right where we wanted him, and then Barrett got hurt.
And Haskins came in and started throwing fucking dimes.
Yeah.
I texted my buddy Corey, who's like the biggest Ohio State fan that I know. I'm like, who the fuck is this kid and where did he come from? Because, oh my God. He goes, yeah, bro, tell me about it. Tell me about it. But no, these coaches can't stay around forever.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. And to get back to the Pete Carroll or Jim Harbaugh thing, he's running off the field. That's a good sign. But yeah, he pretty much shocked the world when he went with Stanford, which is your traditional Ivy League school type, and they're not really known for their football. And next thing you know, he's got a badass running back, probably 4 or 5 badass tight ends, and Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. And they won a lot of fucking games. Mm-hmm. A lot of games. And when he went to San Francisco, I was kind of buying in.
Everybody loved him.
Kind of buying in. And if things would have went different with Mr. Kaepernick, Harbaugh might still be there. Might. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but he might still be there. Because what head coach, when you have a freak athlete, a gazelle like Kaepernick was, and you have a defense that's badass, you're checking all the boxes to have a great football team. I have a very good feeling that if Cap doesn't do what he does, Harbaugh's still there. Mm-hmm. And like you and I talked about, he's one power outage away, perhaps, of winning a Super Bowl. So, and then once he got to Michigan, and now mind you, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I'm pretty open-minded about shit. What irritated me with him, and it still does, and it's maybe because
the spotlight's on him all the time.
Yeah, and Notre Dame coaches usually are. I can't remember like a fiery type of head coach like Harbaugh is. Mm-hmm. He draws the attention. He wants it on him, which is fine. But when you draw that attention and you want it, you better fucking produce. Mm-hmm. And if you ask 99% of all the college programs in the country, if you would take a 10-win season every year, 99% of them be like, fuck yeah, let's go. Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah. I think that he was put in a not fair position expectation-wise going into Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had he taken any other job, just because
he's got the toughest job in all of football.
Yeah, and he's the one that put himself there, obviously, but it's a homecoming for him. He's a Michigan man. He's checking all the boxes that Michigan fans want, except for beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten, and winning a national title. And I understand. Give the dude some time. Mm-hmm. Give the dude some time. Him being at Michigan is great for college football. Him being at Michigan obviously is great for the team. When it all comes down to it, there's only 4 teams that are happy. Mm-hmm. Those 4 teams get into the college football playoff. Everyone else, see you next year. Yeah. So I can understand why fans are a little upset, a little. Because there's very similar things going on with Notre Dame and Coach Kelly. Can't win the big one. Am I going to, in my heart of hearts, do I want to run Coach Kelly off, who's been a very successful Notre Dame coach, just because he can't win one? Big games only come around so much. Yeah. The sample size at which you're looking at with Harbaugh is very small. Mm-hmm. Very small. You take Schembechler. You're looking at a whole lot larger sample size. And who's to say that, was he 0-4 against Ohio State? depending on what they do next week, who's to say the next 4 or 5 years he doesn't rip off 4 or 5 straight?
Mm-hmm.
And if you Michigan fans don't give him that chance, it'll never fucking happen.
No.
And everyone's been talking about, and we've kind of toyed with it as well. Is Fleck, PJ Fleck going to Michigan? In my opinion, I would much rather have Coach Harbaugh than Coach Fleck, and that's not saying anything bad about PJ Fleck because he does a hell of a job. In my opinion, it takes a little bit more. Could he get there? Yes. Right now, I don't think he's ready. I don't.
No.
I don't. And basically, to kind of make my point and wrap up my point is Michigan fans, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Like you said, it takes time, and I know that a lot of people are like, well, Harbaugh's had plenty of time. He's had more time than Rodriguez and Hoke.
God, I would hope so. Those guys are fucking jokes.
Yeah. And they never, I mean, Harbaugh's won 10 games and has taken more heat than anybody for it. But, yeah, it does take time. And then people's argument I hear all the time is, well, didn't take any time for Urban. Urban went into a situation where Tressel had the best team in college football. The cabinet was
pretty full when he got there.
And Tressel didn't leave there because things were bad with his team. He left there because he was in trouble.
Yeah.
And he was basically forced to leave there.
Mm-hmm.
But he left the best team in the country to Urban Meyer. So then Urban Meyer took over the best team, and Urban, you already know, is probably the best recruiter in college football.
Yes.
And he did nothing but win national championships. And then he also got into trouble, or his program got into trouble, and he blamed it on a health issue, we'll call it that.
Right.
But it wasn't that. He was in trouble, and he was basically forced out of there because of all the trouble going on with his wide receivers coach and all that. And he left Coach Day there now, who's killing it with, because Urban Meyer left him with, I mean, the best. When you look at this college, since they brought this college football playoff in, it's always the same damn teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you have coaches going to these programs and turning them around. It's always the same damn teams. It's Alabama. They're there every year. Clemson and Sweeney are there every year.
There is one that I will... Hold on. I want to get his name, so hold on there with me.
But Ohio State, they've been a consistent team that's been right there every single year with a chance to win it. So it's not like... I just think that there's so much emphasis put on this, getting into the playoff, the Final Four, we'll call it. And in order for Michigan to get there, they got to win the Big Ten. And in order to win the Big Ten, you have to beat Ohio State.
Especially considering they're in your side.
Yes.
And you play them every year.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side you're on. It's a rivalry game. That's what it's for. And the one coach that I'm right there with you.
Because I look at, like, if Michigan would have been able to pull Harbaugh when they hired Brady Hoke, and we know that they went and they tried to get Harbaugh at that time, and they couldn't get Harbaugh to come at that time. If they would have been able to do it then, I think about where Michigan would be at now with what, 8-9 seasons under his belt there. I have a hard time believing that Michigan wouldn't be a legitimate team for the Final Four every single season.
I want to know how
with that time.
This is something I'm going to look up here right after I make this point. If you look at the Baylor team, Baylor's badass this year. Mm-hmm. You go back 2 or 3 years when they had all those allegations and shit come down and the reduction of scholarships. Their coach Matt Rule was hired. Mm-hmm. Basically, no one wanted the fucking job, and this dude has went upside down. They're one of the best teams in the country. Mm-hmm. And, it's getting back to PJ Fleck was kind of the same way. So maybe you're going to see, and I think, because what happens in the pros kind of trickles down into college and vice versa. And, maybe we're getting to see where, we're not there yet, because you still have your Sabans and your tenured coaches there. But if you look at it, the coaches that are tenured that have been there for a fucking long time are winning.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Dabo Swinney's been at Clemson for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see how many 10-win seasons he has before he kind of brought that. I mean, because unless you follow college football hardcore, you know, back in the Taj Boyd days and the Sammy Watkins days, those two guys made Dabo Swinney a household name. I remember the bowl game, it was like 65-68 or some shit, where there was absolutely no fucking defense played. And that kind of put Dabo on the map.
Mm-hmm.
And then going in and winning his first national title, again, beating Saban, you know, he kind of won the hearts of many. I know he did mine because I can't stand Nick Saban in Alabama football, but...
Yeah, but so Michigan fans get all upset and they don't want Harbaugh anymore, and they push him out the door.
Who are you gonna get?
You think that LSU regrets giving up on Saban?
Fuck yes, they do.
So that's what scares the shit out of me. You push Harbaugh out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where he's going to go? Whether it's the NFL, whether he stays in college and goes somewhere different. He's going to have a job. Somebody's going to hire him. Right off the bat.
If he wants to work, he'll be able to pick wherever he wants to go.
Yes, exactly.
Hands down.
And he's going to win.
Hmm?
He's going to win everywhere you put him. So he's one of those guys that, because if you look back at LSU pushing Saban out the door, there's probably a legitimate chance that Saban has more national championships if he stayed at LSU than he's had since he's been in his tenure at Alabama.
But yet we wouldn't get the Cajun Joe, Ed Ogeron down there. Love that dude. How'd your team do today? Good football.
How are you, Micah?
Absolutely. So yeah, and I like I said, this is shit that when Kyle and I are sitting at the bar, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do, and so we kind of said to hell with the schedule, to hell with the agenda. Let's just see where shit takes us.
Mm-hmm.
See where shit takes us. Did I have any intention of talking about Jim Harbaugh's job security? Nope. But you know what? That's when shit gets fun. That's when shit gets fun. So let's kind of tie a bow on Mr. Harbaugh and his job situation. We got a big game today.
Yeah.
Big game today against Indiana. Indiana's been playing them tough lately. However, Michigan's won like 18 or 20 some straight games against them. It's been since like 1982 or 84 since Indiana's beat them. Indiana's fucking legit.
They are. And I mean, they took Penn State. They probably should have won that game last weekend.
Yeah, they should have.
And Penn State was able to sneak out of there with a win. But no, Indiana's very legit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to be said about 3/4 of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
There's some very good football teams in the Big Ten.
Can we just delete Rutgers out of the Big Ten?
Yes. I mean, that's...
What do they do? They have like a badass water polo team or something we don't know about? Because their hoops team blows ass.
Yeah, they're bad.
Do they have a great debate club? Is that something that the Big Ten does? I mean, because they're all the way out in fucking New York, for one. And the Scarlet Knights haven't been significant in anything that I follow for about 10 years, 15 years.
You go back to the last time when they had Schiano there.
Yeah.
That was the last time that I remember them being actually, good in football. They were a legit team with Schiano.
But that ship has sailed.
Yes.
And half the time I forget that they're even in the Big Ten. But yeah, so Michigan, now this is in Indiana, correct? Or this is home?
It's at Indiana.
That's what I thought, because the Ohio State game is
home
in Ann Arbor.
Yep.
So they travel down there, and that game's probably just kicking off.
It just kicked off. I'm actually watching it on my phone.
And you're watching on your phone. I got the Notre Dame game up behind us, which Notre Dame is losing 7-6 right now in the second quarter. So Clash of the Catholics not going so smooth as I predicted, but no, that's kind of if you. Because there's a lot of teams, like the Alabamas of the world, they have their big game at the end of the season, where they kind of play a cupcake. Hell, I think the final score to the Bama game was like 66-3 or some shit, with a backup quarterback. So I give kudos to Michigan playing a very formidable opponent before the Ohio State game, and likewise for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise for Ohio State. Get that because you could argue all day that you don't want to beat yourself up, get exhausted, a.k.a. Minnesota when they played Penn State, or the week after. The week after. They were exhausted. Mm-hmm. They were beaten up, came off the biggest highs of high.
Yep.
And then you have to go play the next week and shit the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, shit the bed's not the right word.
No.
They were outplayed.
Yeah.
They were outplayed, and if they would have taken the enthusiasm they had in the fourth quarter all the way through, they probably would have won that game. But they came out flat, they came out soft, and dug themselves a hole that they had to come back from. Mm-hmm. So, if you've followed any of the Minnesota games, they like to run the ball, and when you're chasing points, it's hard to run the ball. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, what are your? I'm going to stop rambling. What are your predictions? What would you like to see, and what are you looking for from your Wolverines against Ohio State next week?
Oh, obviously, I'd like to see them win.
Of course.
I mean, that's where it starts off at. I don't. Since Harbaugh's been there, I think they've matched up a lot of times, and probably on paper not been as good. And I think that's.
And I'm sure there's a lot of Michigan fans too that'll say there's a lot of flags.
Yeah. Have
determined at least 2 of the last 5.
Yeah, and a bad spot. A bad spot's the one that really jumps out to me. But the first thing that, like I was saying, there's a lot of times where on paper Ohio State's been the better team. I think it's safe to say tomorrow or next week that Ohio State's going to be the better team.
Yes.
But Harbaugh and his staff schematically over the years have been able to put themselves in situations to
look what they did to my Notre Dame teams. Look what they did to there.
Yes.
They fucking demolished them.
Yes.
It was fucking embarrassing.
Last season, on paper, I think Michigan matched right up with Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the draft picks and the players on the rosters, Michigan had the talent there to match right up with them. And it flip-flopped. Ohio State outcoached him. Ohio State outplayed him in every aspect of the game.
I was just going to say Urban out-schemed him.
Yes.
He's the one that figured out those crossing patterns.
Yes.
That they just obliterated.
Yes.
Not only them, but who did Michigan play in the bowl last year?
Florida
did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he found that weakness. Mm-hmm. Said,
Florida got him at a time where you had guys not even playing in the game because of draft and all that, and plus them coming off of getting just demolished by Ohio State. I don't think Michigan ever showed up for that Florida game.
But it was schematically, it was the exact same.
Yeah. So I guess next week the one thing I really hope for is that they just show up schematically, have some things that us as viewers haven't seen all year. Show some stuff that we haven't seen all year. Defensively, you can't just match up and play man to man. I know that's how Don Brown wants to do. He wants to go man to man. He wants to blitz.
They'll do the exact same thing. If he goes man to man the entire game, they're going to do exactly the same thing they did last year, and it's going to be 56-7 or 56-14 or whatever.
Yep. So I just hope that they make it a respectable game. And you know what? It's a rivalry game. I would like to think that you're going to get the best shot. I mean, Michigan's going to give them their best shot.
They're at home.
And if they can keep the game close and keep Ohio State in the 30s,
which that in itself is a chore.
Yes, I think if you can keep Ohio State in the 30s and you don't let them get in 40s, 50s, I think they can win the game. I really do, especially being on their home field. They don't lose very very often at the Big House. So,
but you had mentioned too before we started recording this that which Michigan team is going to show up?
Yep.
And I think that's a question that all football fans want to know, because we've seen Michigan's offense be amazing, and then we've seen them where they're the 75th ranked offense in the country, and that's we were joking a few weeks ago about hitting on all cylinders, and we're like, what kind of cylinders are we talking about? A lawnmower? But what I found really ironic is watching College Game Day this morning, and they were talking about how Harbaugh's got them, pretty much. They went back to the running game that's Harbaugh's thing. That's what he wants to do. If you look at since the second half of the Penn State game, that's what they've done. That's what they've done, and it's opened up passing routes and passing lanes for Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Which has made him better. So then you put him on the run and do the exact same thing, but yet they're still trying to do this spread shit.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and at the same time though, they're getting with the they're kind of running it's not necessarily the spread that I think that they were trying to run at the beginning of the season. It's more of a hybrid, and they are running some more plays under center and all that. Mm-hmm. But like last week in the Michigan State game, I think it was pretty. They saw it pretty obvious in the first half that they weren't going to be able to just run on Michigan State.
No.
And so
as shitty of a season Michigan State is having, you're not going to line up.
You're not just going to play bully ball against them.
No.
And so they started to spread them out and just kind of not necessarily throw the ball downfield a lot, but throw a lot of short passes. Mm-hmm. And Shea picked them apart.
Well, with those short passes too, it's kind of like an extension of your running game.
Yes, and once you get that, once you start to pick them apart with those short passes, then your passes down the field are gonna open up.
You're drawing the DBs up to the receivers where they can't give them a cushion because you've destroyed them. And Michigan's receivers are fucking legit. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. Bell is going to be an amazing. I mean, the last 3 or 4 weeks have been his coming out party.
Yeah, and he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, and if people say I'm a just a Notre Dame or a Michigan hater, I've been preaching that kid's shit all year. Mm-hmm. When Michigan was lost their first especially the Army game where they didn't lose, but Bell was the best player on the offense. Mm-hmm. I'll give the kid props any day because the kid's a baller. He's a baller. Was it a shame that he dropped that pass that could have extended the game or won it? Sure, but it happens. Yep. And you know what? I bet you that kid probably doesn't drop another pass his whole career because of that. Mm-hmm. But no, So you bring the DBs up so they're they can hand fight off the line. Michigan's receivers are fast as fuck. Mm-hmm. Down the sideline. Shea's got an arm. It's not like he's Phillip Rivers. But so it's like it's like dominoes. It's like dominoes. And you can't get the whole line of dominoes to fall down if you don't hit the first one. And it looks kind of weird when you hit it in the middle. And then you're trying to... It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Very bad analogy. I was trying to go somewhere with that, but...
The first drive of the game, Indiana marched straight down the field and scored on them 7-0 already.
Oh.
So, which, if you were watching last week, Michigan State did the same thing, and then
that's true.
Michigan had to, pat him on the back and remind him, hey, you're our little brother.
Yeah, exactly. Had to put him in their spot real quick. Put him in their spot. So we had, I think we got enough time for this last topic, and I guarantee you'll get more of our thoughts and reactions to the said Ohio State Michigan game, because that's a noon game, right?
Yep.
Which is weird to me. I always thought they would highlight that game. It'd
Never changes.
Nope.
Always at noon.
And like you said, you don't have to wait around all day to see if your team wins or loses.
Yep.
You can just...
I like the noon games the best. Just get them over with. Get them going.
So I can tell, how my day is going to go after that. Now, when I used to bartend, you could always tell on Saturdays if Michigan won or lost by how many people show up. Yep. Around drinking time. Yeah. Around drinking time. Michigan loses, you're not going to see many people, especially a big game like this. Mm-hmm. Now, if Michigan wins, oh my God, they're buying shots for everybody.
We might not even feel like going out, but we're going out.
Oh, yeah, you're stepping out. Stepping out. So, yeah, I guarantee, because we usually do this around 2 or 2:30 on Saturday. So you'll probably be getting our reactions, predictions if we need to go further, So yeah, I'm sure we'll hook you guys up with that next week. So it's too big of a game not to fucking tease, not to tease. So, paycheck and onions.
Yes.
Where are you at with your score, sir?
Oh, I went perfect last week, so I'm up to 46.
My monumental 1-point lead is now obviously blowing them at 43. So since you are King Dick this week, what is your first pick'em game, sir?
First pick, we've been talking about it this entire time. Michigan, Ohio State. I'm going Michigan over Ohio State.
Surprised you went pick'em with that. I figured you'd have a little bit more balls. Kind of throw that up.
Throw it as my paycheck? I ain't putting my paycheck on that. Not a chance.
Well, for my first one, I'm going to the NFL. And I'm sure this one's not going to make Mr. 2Ks happy. But I'm taking the Bills over the Cowboys. Bills over them boys. And Josh Allen might actually have like 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. Just predicting it.
Well, after the way that Driscoll ran all over the Cowboys last week.
That's true.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And he's quite a bit larger than Driscoll, so we shall see what happens. We shall see. Well, my second pick'em, I'm going to the Big Ten, and we've talked about both these teams. We've got Wisconsin going into Minnesota, and I'm rowing that boat. I'm rowing it. This to me is a very intriguing. This score just reeks 17-14. Two teams that love to run the fucking ball. We've already talked about JT. So, yeah, 2017, 17, 14-ish. I think that's going to be the score. But I'm giving the nod to Minnesota because they're at home.
Okay. And I'm going SEC. I'm going Alabama over Auburn. I know there's been a lot of talk about Tua being out for the rest of the season. But Auburn, to me, freshman quarterback, I think he's got a lot of potential. They have a very good defense. They have a very good defense, but they haven't proven anything this year as far as being able to win a big game. You have a big game now with Bama, and I just don't think they're going to be able to.
It's their biggest game of the year.
Yep.
This is their biggest game of the year. Well, I am. Well, what's your wrap up your pick'ems, Mr. 2Ks?
Pick'ems, I'm going NFL, and right now it's really hard to pick against this team. They've kind of, especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, maybe look like the best team in the NFL, and that's the Ravens. And I'm picking the Ravens over the Niners.
It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
But and I looked at that game, and I think I would at this point I would put New England's defense a little ahead of San Francisco's.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, and it will just look what Jackson did to their defense. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how they lost games because he's just been shitting on everybody.
Yeah.
And has some badass shades too. If you haven't seen that picture, I mean, can we get the dude like a?
Looks like a center fielder out there.
Yeah, I mean, dude needs a nice furry stash. I think that would just put everything right over the top. He might be my favorite player in all of sports if that happens. Get him some Willie Beeman glasses. Willie Beeman, make the girls cold creaming. Yeah, Jerry curl and all. That'd be sweet. Well, I'm also looking at the Ohio State Michigan game. I'm going the other way. I'm curious to see what the point spread is looking at this. If I had to go out on a limb, I'd say about 14.5. Even though,
I don't know. I'm going to say that it will probably go about 10.5 probably.
This one wouldn't shock me.
Just because it's at the big house.
Yeah. This one wouldn't shock me if it started out about 6.5, 7.5. And then the closer it gets, you're going to see, you'll see Ohio State end up 11, 12, somewhere in there. But and for all those that are wondering, Mr. Fields did come out and play the next series, so it looks like it was nothing major. So
well, I want them all there. No excuses.
No, fuck no.
No excuses.
I don't want to hear Michigan fans bitching about how they lost to the second string, or they should have beat the second string Ohio State quarterback. But Ohio State's done it before, so who knows? Who knows? What is your paycheck game, Mr. 2Ks?
Paycheck game. We touched on them a little bit earlier, talking about the Rutgers, and they might be about the worst college football team that I've seen this entire season. And I saw that they actually won 2 games this year, and I want to know who the fuck they beat.
Marcellus.
But I'm picking Penn State to. They're coming off the Ohio State loss. They played Ohio State tough today. Mm-hmm. Penn State's going to just have their way with Rutgers. Michigan matched Indiana, by the way, with a touchdown pass to Ronnie Bell.
Hey, we're just fucking talking about him. You know what? That might be the first time in Turbo and 2K's history we pub someone up and they don't shit the bed.
And they do something, yes.
So, Ronnie Brown, congrats to you, my friend. My paycheck game, I'm going to the NFL. I'm looking at the Jets at the Bengals.
Wow, that's a battle of shit.
Yeah, that's legitimately. Are you picking a douchebag or a shit sandwich? And I'm taking the douchebag in the Jets.
Yep. Hey, Cody Brazeman, he'll be proud. Yeah,
Cody, I got you back, brother. Come on now.
I can't run my mouth a whole lot though, because Cody Brazeman's Jets beat my Cowboys this year.
That's true. My Onions pick. We've already talked about it, but I'm going SEC. And I'm taking Auburn over Bama. Probably the best defense Bama's seen, or one of the best. Seems like Bama plays a close game or just destroys everybody. They're not going to destroy Auburn. Gus Malzahn usually has a little something special for Mr. Saban. And this is going to be, what's his name, Mac Jones, or whatever the hell the backup quarterback to Tua is. Mm-hmm. And I speaking of the Alabama game, I would really like to see, because I guarantee Tua's the plan was if the score got out of hand, which it did. Tua's brother was going to play, so I really want to see, because first of all, Tua's a lefty, his brother's a righty, and they're 2 very different players. So I kind of want to see, because I haven't seen much tape on him, so I'm kind of interested to see that. Mm-hmm. And hell, maybe going into this game, he plays over Jones or whatever the hell his name is. So we shall see. But you know what? All these people talking about a backup quarterback with Alabama, we forget Tua was a backup. So it's not like Nick Saban has way too many 5 stars on his team. Yeah. To have Joe Schmo from the fucking stands come in and play quarterback for him. His backups would be starting at 90% of the other schools in the fucking country. So don't give me that. Is he going to be as dynamic as Tua? No. Neither one of the 2 kids are. Tua's for the first time, Saban's had an air raid offense. And now which is why you haven't seen, the badass running backs that Nick Saban's always had. Are they still there? Sure. But are they used what way they used to? Nope. When you got Tua airing it out to everybody, including 3 guys in the stands that played today for 66 points, it's different. Yep. It's different. Now, Jones looks like your traditional Alabama quarterback. He looks like McElroy, and so he fits the look, and it's the style that Nick Saban wants. Yep. So I don't think they skip a beat. I think it's going to be a different approach. And let's not forget that Judy's one of the best receivers in the country, if not the best. He's still there. Yep, he's still there. But I still think that, especially at home at Auburn, that's what's kind of tipping the scales for me. It's going to be a badass game regardless. And what is your Onions pick, my friend?
So I thought about picking Michigan as my Onions pick over Ohio State, but I said it a couple weeks ago. I'll never pick Michigan to be an underdog anytime. So I just won't do it. So I went with a different rivalry game. I went rivalry in Oklahoma with Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. Taking Oklahoma State to win that game.
That's going to be a good one. I'm trying to remember the last time Oklahoma State was ranked in the top 25, and I think it was the Brandon Wheaton era back then.
And I mean, Yep. So I put the over-under at 84 points.
Yeah. I'd probably still take the over.
Yeah.
Still probably take the over. And Oklahoma State's coach has the best hair in college football.
And he's 40.
Yeah, and he's a man. And his mullet is something of just beautiful. I mean, it's trailer trashy.
It is.
It's surpassed the hockey hair.
Yes.
It's trailer trashy. Like, I wonder if he drives like an 84 Firebird to work every day. That, you know, I mean, we're going back to all right, probably not 84, probably like 80, 82, somewhere in there, where you had to flip up the license plate to put the gas in. That's the shit I'm talking about. That's the shit I'm talking about. And if not, he needs one. And Lord knows the man gets paid enough. So get you your Firebird. Because, man, can you imagine? If I had that hair, I would walk around with cut off jean shirts constantly. Only to be replaced with like stained white tees and
white jeans.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. And just is fuck Jerry curl. I've got 5W30 in my hair, motherfucker. We got everything going. Well, Mr. 2K, is there anything else you'd like to bring up? We have about 3 or 4 more minutes to fill.
Oh well, we can.
We don't need to.
We can talk about fantasy football.
We don't need to
talk about how you got beat by Frank again.
Same exact. The first one, I was like, all right, bad week for all my team. You know, haven't had one of those weeks since. Until. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I scored the same exact amount of fucking points.
Yeah.
And what's even further frustrating is the first time when I played him, Drew Brees was hurt. So I didn't have a backup quarterback, and I'm not going to drop someone when Deshaun Watson's fully healthy. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. This time, Drew Brees is healthy. My bench wouldn't have only outscored me. Would have outscored Frank.
Mm-hmm.
My bench put up like 145 points. I scored 113.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Frank's going to cost me the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, now I fully understand in the drop anchor league, I could have the worst fucking team in the whole, let's say, fantasy football realm. Joe Park would have the best team ever, and I would beat him every single time. So, Joe, I feel your pain, bro. I feel you. I'm not saying I'm the best team in the league, but god damn, I feel your pain. So, yeah, it's karma kicking me right in the ass. Mm-hmm. I guarantee that's what it is. Because if you know me, of course I talk shit about that. Oh, yeah. I still do. Even though Joe and I don't play in the same league, I still talk shit about him. Mm-hmm. Or to him, not about him. But yeah, we didn't need to bring it up, but since you did,
well, there's only really Frank beat Turbo, Kyle, 2K's won again. Yep. And that's about all there is to say.
And Christian, who knows?
I got Christian this week. We're playing him this week.
Yeah.
Do we want to touch in on our idea that we were tossing around today? As far as
let's save it.
Save it? Okay.
Let's save it. It's that good of an idea that we're going to save it. And we're going to keep all of you on pins and needles until we bring it to fruition. With that little tease, I think we're going to wrap it up. Folks, get on the Teespring. Get you we've got the hashtag 2K's Crew shirt. And we got the I Hate Joe Buck shirt. The I Hate Joe Buck shirt comes in many colors. I mean, I know the cover shows up pink. Mm-hmm. But I've got a black one. I know Jay Stone has it's like a navy blue one or royal blue. So there's at least 4 or 5 different colors. Like I said, there's even a pink. So if you're a chick and want a pink, fire it up. Mm-hmm. Fire it up. And I think they're only like, what, $20? Mm-hmm. Something like that. 15% off. Turbo 15. Hook it up. Get your orders in. And now, like I said before, this is a print on demand. So it's not like they have any big stock. You're not going to see it in 3 or 4 days. Usually takes a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying if you want them for Christmas presents, Plan ahead. Get them now. And you're getting 15% off, so I'm not sure why the fuck you wouldn't. Come on. And follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. I know I've been having, ever since I got the Twitter account for us, I've been having more fun on Twitter than probably any other platform, aside from our Facebook group. If you're not a part of the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/turbo and 2Ks. Get on that shit. The Twitter handle is the turbo and 2Ks. And Instagram is turbo and 2Ks, because someone else has the Twitter handle turbo and 2Ks, dickheads. But give us a follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a like, comment on it. The more comments we get, the better. And that way too, if the more love you show, the more we can kind of gauge what type of content you guys want to hear and listen to. So let us know. If you hate it, tell us you hate it. Tell us you hate it. We're big boys. We have thick skin. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
No.
Because even though you hate it, we still have fun doing it. So fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We'll get you out on that note. Man, the longer we do this, words get hard. We'll get you out of here on that note. Have a great week, everybody. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.